The air in Istanbul on May 25, 2005, crackled with an almost unbearable tension, a palpable hum of anticipation that stretched from the concrete bowl of the Ataturk Olympic Stadium across the Bosphorus Strait and beyond. Two footballing giants, AC Milan and Liverpool, stood on the precipice of European glory, their destinies converging in the ultimate contest for club supremacy. This was not merely a game, it was a crucible, a stage set for a drama that would redefine the very notion of sporting possibility. For one team, the path to victory seemed assured, their dominance absolute, their triumph a mere formality. For the other, the dream was rapidly dissolving into a nightmare, the weight of history and the ferocity of their opponent pressing down with suffocating force. The collective breath of millions held, unaware that they were about to witness not just a match, but an earthquake in the annals of athletic achievement, a story so improbable it would forever be etched into the global consciousness. AC Milan, resplendent in their iconic red and black, arrived in Istanbul as the undisputed aristocrats of European football. Their squad was a glittering constellation of talent. Paolo Maldini, a timeless captain, Andrea Pirlo, a maestro of the midfield, Kaká, a dazzling force of nature, Andrei Shevchenko, a clinical finisher. They embodied tactical perfection and effortless elegance, a machine meticulously crafted by Carlo Ancelotti, designed to dissect and dismantle any opposition. Their journey to the final had been marked by a serene confidence, a sense of destiny that seemed almost preordained. They had conquered Europe before, and their hunger for another crown was insatiable, their precision almost surgical. This was a team that knew how to win, how to control, how to impose its will on the grandest stages. Liverpool, by contrast, carried a different aura. Under the astute leadership of Rafael Benitez, they were a team forged in grit, resilience, and an unwavering collective spirit rather than individual superstar wattage. Their path to the final had been a winding, arduous one, marked by dramatic upsets and moments of sheer unyielding defiance. They were the underdogs, the disruptors, a side that perhaps lacked the polished sheen of their Italian counterparts, but possessed an indomitable will to fight. Their supporters, renowned for their passionate devotion, had traveled in vast numbers, their voices a thunderous testament to a bond between club and city that transcended mere sport. They believed, often against logic, in the power of their team to overcome, to endure, to surprise. The opening half of the final unfolded precisely as Milan had envisioned, and as Liverpool's most pessimistic fans might have feared. Within the first minute, the legendary Maldini struck a volley of exquisite precision that rippled the net and sent a shockwave through the stadium. The early setback was a blow, but what followed was a masterclass in swift, devastating counter-attacking football. Hernan Crespo, the Argentine striker, added 2 more goals before the halftime whistle, each a testament to Milan's clinical efficiency and Liverpool's rapidly fading grip on the contest. The scoreboard read 3-0. For Liverpool, the dream appeared, shattered, their European aspirations lying in tatters. The sheer scale of the deficit, against a team of Milan's caliber, felt insurmountable. The collective despair was almost tangible, a heavy blanket descending upon the red half of the stadium, silencing the fervent chants. It was a problem of epic proportions, a chasm that seemed too wide to bridge. This was not just a deficit, it was an existential crisis on the pitch, a seemingly irreversible march towards a crushing defeat. The unique angle of this script lies not merely in the fact of a comeback, but in the profound psychological and emotional journey embedded within it, the moment when all hope seemed lost, and the subsequent, almost miraculous, reawakening of belief against the most formidable odds. This was the moment when the impossible began its slow, arduous crawl towards reality, a testament to the enduring power of human spirit and collective will in the face of absolute despair. Emerging from the tunnel for the second half, the Liverpool players carried not the visible weight of defeat, but a flicker of rekindled purpose. The air in their dressing room during the interval had been thick with a potent blend of stark realism and defiant aspiration. Rafael Benitez, with a clarity that cut through the despondency, had not merely offered platitudes. He had surgically outlined a tactical blueprint for improbable survival. The plan involved a significant reshuffle, the introduction of Dite Mohamed, a defensive midfielder, to anchor the center, allowing Steven Gerrard more freedom further forward. This pivotal adjustment was designed to disrupt Milan's fluid midfield rhythm and inject a much-needed robustness into Liverpool's spine, a bold gamble in the face of such a formidable deficit. Crucially, the manager's calm demeanor, coupled with the raw, impassioned plea from their captain, ignited a collective resolve. It was not a call for a miracle, but for a meticulously executed, relentless effort. Focusing on the immediate next action, the next pass, the next tackle, the overwhelming scoreboard was momentarily pushed aside, replaced by a singular focus on winning small battles across the pitch. This shift in mindset, from resigned despair to a focused, almost clinical determination, became the bedrock of their astonishing resurgence. It highlighted a profound professional breakthrough, the ability to compartmentalize immense pressure and execute a complex strategy under duress. Suddenly, the stadium, which had moments earlier seemed a mausoleum for Liverpool's hopes, erupted. Only 9 minutes into the second period, Steven Gerrard, seizing upon a cross with a surge of aerial power, directed a header precisely into the Milan net. This was not merely a goal. It was an electric current, jolting life back into every red-clad supporter and, more importantly, into the players themselves. The immediate aftermath saw a visceral, almost primal roar from the Liverpool faithful, transforming the atmosphere from one of quiet lament to one of raw, unadulterated belief. The psychological momentum, previously a heavy burden, began to shift, ever so subtly, in their favor, with each successive strike. The narrative of the match underwent a dramatic inversion. 2 minutes later, Vladimir Maisa unleashed a low, powerful shot from outside the box that found its way past the Milan goalkeeper. The speed of this second goal, following so closely on the heels of the first, created a palpable sense of disarray within the previously unshakable Milan defense. It was a rapid-fire sequence, an almost surreal unfolding of events that challenged the very fabric of sporting logic. Then, just 4 minutes after Smicer's effort, a foul in the box led to a penalty. Xabi Alonso stepped up, saw his initial shot saved, but reacted with lightning speed to bury the rebound. In a staggering 6-minute span, the seemingly unassailable 3-goal lead had evaporated. This seismic shift was more than just a statistical anomaly. It represented a profound psychological breakthrough for Liverpool. They had stared into the abyss of certain defeat, and through a combination of tactical brilliance, unwavering effort, and a touch of serendipity, had hauled themselves back to parity. Conversely, for Milan, the sudden collapse of their commanding lead initiated a period of visible shock and disorientation. Their elegant composure began to fray, replaced by a frantic scramble to reassert control. The confidence that had defined their first-half performance gave way to an uncharacteristic tentativeness, mirroring the incredible resurgence of their opponents. This was the moment the comeback truly solidified, transforming from a distant pipe dream into a tangible, breathtaking reality. The collective spirit on the Liverpool bench and among the supporters swelled, a tidal wave of renewed conviction, sweeping over the stadium, signaling that this improbable journey was far from over. The seismic shift in the match's trajectory left both teams navigating a landscape utterly transformed. For AC Milan, the sudden erosion of their seemingly unassailable advantage presented an unprecedented psychological challenge. Their earlier composed dominance had evaporated, replaced by a visible unease, a frantic scramble to regain equilibrium. The tactical certainties that had underpinned their first-half mastery now seemed to fray at the edges. Now, imagine yourself in such a moment, when a meticulously crafted plan crumbles, and the very ground beneath your feet feels unstable. Milan's players, accustomed to dictating terms with elegant precision, found themselves grappling with an unfamiliar chaos. Their fluid passing game often disrupted by the relentless, revitalized energy of their opponents. The once effortless control they exerted over the midfield began to slip, replaced by a more reactive, sometimes desperate, approach. Conversely, Liverpool, having clawed their way back from the brink, faced a different kind of pressure, the immense weight of sustaining an improbable momentum. Their comeback was less about tactical finesse in that moment, and more about an unyielding force of will, a collective refusal to concede. The roar from their supporters, which had amplified with each goal, now became a sustained, deafening surge, a living tide that seemed to propel them forward. Yet, even with this surge of energy, the physical toll of their Herculean effort began to manifest. Every sprint, every tackle, every desperate lunge drew deeper from their reserves, testing the very limits of human endurance. The remainder of regulation time became a grueling test of attrition, a high-stakes chess match played at breakneck speed. As the clock wound down in the second half, the contest settled into a tense, attritional deadlock. Milan, shaken but not entirely broken, attempted to reassert their authority. focusing on tighter defensive organization and seeking moments to exploit Liverpool's now exposed flanks. However, the Liverpool defense, buoyed by their astonishing revival, held firm, displaying a newfound tenacity. Crucial individual interventions punctuated the frantic exchanges, a perfectly timed slide tackle preventing a clear scoring opportunity, a Lasic block deflecting a powerful strike wide of the post, a goalkeeper's outstretched leg denying a seemingly certain goal. These moments, often overlooked in the shadow of the goals, were defining acts of courage and skill, preserving the precarious parity. With the 90 minutes complete and the score still deadlocked, the match plunged into extra time, an additional half hour of football that felt less like an extension of the game and more like a separate brutal chapter. The tactical considerations shifted dramatically. Both teams, acutely aware that the next goal could be the decisive one, adopted a more cautious posture. The expansive, attacking play of the first half was replaced by a nervy, tactical battle, punctuated by flashes of individual brilliance and desperate defending. The fatigue was etched onto every face. Muscles screamed in protest, and minds wrestled with the immense pressure. One defining sequence in extra time encapsulated the sheer drama and fine margins of the encounter. A dazzling piece of individual skill from a Milan forward created an opening, leading to a powerful shot that was heroically parried by the Liverpool goalkeeper. The rebound fell perfectly to another Milan attacker, who struck the ball with conviction towards an open net. Yet, at the very last instant, a Liverpool defender, seemingly out of nowhere, launched himself across the goalmouth, diverting the shot with an almost superhuman effort. It was a moment of pure instinct and unwavering commitment, a testament to the profound stakes of the match and the unyielding will to prevail. This single, breathtaking intervention, a testament to the defender's spatial awareness and sheer bravery, underscored the knife-edge nature of the contest, pushing the ultimate decision towards its most dramatic and unpredictable conclusion. The narrative had moved beyond mere goals. It was now about endurance, nerve, and the raw, unadulterated will to avoid defeat. The final whistle, when it finally pierced the air, brought with it not an end, but a new, profound form of suspense. 120 minutes of relentless combat had yielded no victor, pushing the ultimate decision into the crucible of a penalty shootout. This transition marked a dramatic shift in the demands placed upon these extraordinary athletes. Physical exhaustion, though still a factor, receded slightly in importance, ceding ground to an overwhelming mental and emotional gauntlet. Now, consider how this applies when you face such a definitive, high-stakes moment. The game transformed from a sprawling, fluid contest into a series of isolated, intensely personal duels. For those tasked with stepping forward, the wisdom gleaned from countless hours of practice, from every past success and failure, converged on a single, solitary instant. Each player, walking from the center circle to the penalty spot, carried not only the weight of their own aspirations but also the collective hopes of their teammates, their club, and millions of fervent supporters. The stadium, moments before, a cacophony of sound, now seemed to hold its breath, every individual heartbeat amplified in the sudden, eerie quiet. This was the ultimate test of nerve, a stark, unvarnished confrontation with pressure unlike any other experienced in regular play. The approach to the ball, the choice of corner, the split-second decision against a diving goalkeeper, these were moments where years of training met raw, unyielding psychological fortitude. The dynamic between the two teams, shaped by the incredible events that had just unfolded, added another layer of complexity to this final act. One side, having mounted an astonishing recovery, approached the shootout imbued with a newfound, almost defiant confidence, a sense that destiny might just be on their side. They had overcome seemingly insurmountable odds, and this final challenge, though daunting, perhaps felt like another hurdle to clear on an already improbable journey. Conversely, their opponents, having witnessed a commanding lead evaporate in a whirlwind of 6 minutes, faced the shootout with a different kind of burden. The lingering shadow of what had been lost, the disorienting feeling of control slipping away, could subtly undermine even the most seasoned penalty taker's conviction. This stark contrast in their recent emotional trajectories created a fascinating, psychological undercurrent, a silent battle of wills preceding each kick. Furthermore, the role of the goalkeeper in this specific scenario ascended to a level of singular, almost mythical importance. No longer merely a shot stopper, the goalkeeper became a mind reader, a gambler, a psychological warrior engaged in a precise high-stakes ballet with each opposing kicker. Their preparation, often involving meticulous study of opponents' habits, now had to be instantly accessible, coupled with an intuitive ability to anticipate, to react, to make themselves appear impossibly large in the face of a rapidly approaching ball. A successful save in a shootout is not merely an act of athleticism, it is a profound declaration, a moment of individual brilliance that can ignite belief or extinguish hope in an instant, shifting the entire balance of the contest. Consequently, the entire atmosphere within the stadium morphed. The flow of the game had ceased, replaced by a series of discrete high-tension vignettes. Each penalty kick became a miniature drama unto itself, a microcosm of the larger battle, played out under the most intense scrutiny. The outcome hinged on isolated moments of individual execution, yet it was intrinsically tied to the performance of the collective. The sheer unpredictability of this method of resolution, often likened to a lottery, added a cruel yet compelling dimension to the ultimate decision of a champion. It reduced the beautiful game to its most primal elements: human will, precision, and the capricious hand of fate, all converging on a single point from 12 yards. This final, brutal test would determine which narrative of resilience and regret would prevail. Reflecting on this journey so far, one cannot help but sense the deeper currents that flowed beneath the surface of that extraordinary contest. It was a crucible where the rawest human emotions and the most refined strategic calculations converged, revealing profound truths about the nature of adversity and the boundless capacity for resurgence. The initial chasm, seemingly insurmountable, was not merely a numerical deficit but a psychological barrier, a test of spirit that few teams are ever truly asked to confront on such a grand stage. How does one respond when the very fabric of a cherished aspiration appears irrevocably torn? The answer, as unfolded before the world, lay not in a singular moment of brilliance, but in a gradual, almost imperceptible shift in resolve, a collective refusal to succumb to the weight of what seemed inevitable. The subtle yet profound recalibration of strategy, undertaken in the quiet intensity of the interval, served as the initial tremor, a deliberate act of defiance against the prevailing narrative. It underscored the critical interplay between intellectual foresight and unwavering courage, demonstrating how a clear vision, even amidst chaos, can reorient a trajectory seemingly fixed on defeat. This pivotal adjustment was not about mere personnel. It was about shifting the very axis of engagement, transforming a reactive posture into one of proactive disruption. The subsequent cascade of events, a breathtaking rapidity of a shift in fortune, speaks volumes about the fragile architecture of confidence in high-stakes environments. When the momentum shifts, it does so with an almost elemental force, eroding established certainties and opening pathways previously unimaginable. Beyond the raw statistics of goals and saves, this grand sporting theater illuminated the relentless demands placed upon the human spirit when pushed to its absolute limits. The physical toll of sustained effort, especially when fueled by a desperate pursuit of parity, is immense. Yet it pales in comparison to the mental fortitude required to maintain focus, to execute under the most suffocating pressure. Each passing minute after the equilibrium was restored became a testament to sheer endurance, a battle waged not just against an opponent, but against the creeping tendrils of exhaustion and doubt. The narrative evolved from one of improbable recovery to a grinding war of attrition, where every tackle, every clearance, every desperate lunge became a miniature act of heroism, preserving the delicate balance. And then, the ultimate, solitary test of resolve, a stark confrontation with fate from 12 yards. This final, brutal chapter distilled the essence of the entire encounter into a series of isolated high-tension vignettes. It was here that the accumulated psychological burdens and the rekindled hopes from the preceding hours found their ultimate expression. The stark contrast in emotional landscapes between the two sides, one having clawed their way back from the abyss, the other grappling with the bewildering loss of a commanding lead, imbued each kick with an almost unbearable weight. The outcome hinged not just on athletic prowess, but on the unwavering clarity of mind in the face of overwhelming scrutiny, on the ability to silence the clamor of the moment and execute with icy precision. The echoes of that night resonate far beyond the confines of the stadium, speaking to a universal human experience of confronting the seemingly impossible, of finding strength where none appeared to exist, and of the enduring power of collective belief to reshape destiny. As we pivot towards the final reflection, consider how these profound insights extend beyond the realm of sport. offering a compelling metaphor for navigating life's most daunting challenges. The reverberations of that Istanbul night, nearly 2 decades later, continue to echo with an almost mythical resonance, transcending the boundaries of sport to speak to a deeper, more profound human truth. What transpired on May 25, 2005, was not merely a football match. It was a crucible where the very limits of human resilience and collective will were tested, redefined, and ultimately celebrated. It shattered the comfortable illusion that destiny is predetermined, demonstrating instead that even in the face of overwhelming adversity, the spirit of defiance can ignite a blaze capable of consuming seemingly insurmountable odds. The initial chasm, a 3-goal deficit against a team of AC Milan's unparalleled caliber, was more than a numerical disadvantage. It was a psychological abyss, a profound declaration of defeat that for most would have extinguished all hope. Yet, within that seemingly hopeless void, a seed of an extraordinary comeback was sown, nurtured by an unwavering belief that defied all logical explanation. The transformation witnessed on that pitch served as a powerful testament to the intricate dance between strategy and sheer fortitude. Rafael Benitez's tactical adjustments at halftime were undeniably crucial, providing the structural framework for Liverpool's improbable resurgence. However, the true alchemy occurred within the minds and hearts of the players themselves. It was the audacious courage to believe when every fiber of rational thought dictated surrender, the relentless pursuit of each small victory, a tackle won, a pass completed, a sprint made that cumulatively chipped away at Milan's once unshakable confidence. For Milan, the experience was a brutal lesson in the fragility of dominance, a stark reminder that even the most meticulously constructed edifice can crumble under the relentless pressure of a revitalized opponent. Their descent from assured triumph into bewildered disarray underscored how quickly the psychological tide can turn, transforming a position of strength into one of vulnerable uncertainty. Beyond the tactical shifts and individual heroics, the miracle of Istanbul illuminated the profound power of collective spirit. The thunderous roar of the Liverpool faithful, a visceral expression of unwavering faith, became an almost tangible force, propelling their team forward when physical exhaustion threatened to overwhelm. This symbiosis between players and supporters, a shared conviction in the face of the impossible, underscored that sport, at its purest, is a communal endeavor, a shared emotional journey where the energy of the crowd can truly become the 12th man. It was a demonstration that true strength often lies not in individual brilliance alone, but in the unbreakable bonds of a unified purpose, a shared refusal to yield, and the collective belief that something extraordinary is still within reach. This narrative, steeped in drama and defying expectation, continues to resonate because it mirrors the challenges we all face in our own lives. We encounter our own 3-goal deficits, moments of professional failure, personal loss, or seemingly insurmountable obstacles that threaten to define us by our setbacks. The Istanbul final serves as a potent reminder that the deepest wells of resilience are often tapped only when all conventional avenues seem closed. It teaches us that the capacity for a comeback lies not in avoiding the fall, but in the unwavering determination to rise again, to find new pathways, and to confront despair with an unyielding spirit. It is a powerful metaphor for the human condition, a testament to our innate ability to adapt, to persevere, and to transform the narrative of defeat into a story of profound triumph. The enduring legacy of that night is not merely the trophy lifted, but the indelible mark it left on the collective consciousness of sport and humanity. It established a new benchmark for what constitutes a comeback, a standard against which all future acts of sporting defiance would inevitably be measured. It stands as a timeless beacon, a story whispered in locker rooms and boardrooms alike, urging individuals and teams to look beyond the immediate scoreboard and find strength in the most unlikely of circumstances. The true practice begins now, not on a grand stadium stage, but in the quiet moments of our own lives, when faced with our own daunting challenges. The lesson from Istanbul is clear. The greatest victories are often found not in the absence of adversity, but in the extraordinary courage to confront it, to fight when all seems lost, and to believe in the improbable power of a second chance. It is a perpetual invitation to redefine what is possible, a testament to the enduring, indomitable spirit that resides within us all.